Welcome to Sisters in Crime's Murder Monday, where authors talk all about their crime craft. My name is Jacq, and I'm a copywriter, occasional broadcaster, podcaster, and member of Sisters in Crime Australia, where we've been celebrating women's crime writing since 1991. I'm very excited because my guest for this month's Murder Monday is Adelaide author and historian Lainie Anderson. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me, Jacq. This is great. Thank you.
Lady is the author of three novels, including two crime books, and they're fabulous. The Death of Dora Black and Murder on the North Terrace, featuring the real life character of Katie Cox, who in 1915 was the first policewoman in the British Empire employed on the same salary and with the same powers of arrest as men. Now, early last year, Lainie completed her PhD exploring the life of Kate Cox and the Petticoat Police mysteries based on her research, and we're so lucky for that. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Lainey's worked as a journalist for more than 3 decades. In 2017, she received a Churchill Fellowship, retracing the route of Sir Ross's Smith pioneering flight from England to Australia, which formed the basis for her first novel, Long Flight Home, as well as a documentary that was screened on SBS. But we're here to talk craft and the fabulous and compelling world of Miss Kate Cox. Lainie, could you give us an elevator pitch for Murder on the North Terrace?
Yes, so it's 6 months after the death of Dora Black and that investigation. Miss Cox and her sassy sidekick Ethel Bromley are back on the beat, working for the Women's Police Branch in Adelaide, and a very powerful board director of the art gallery is found murdered beneath a salacious painting that has been causing outrage and gallery visitation in equal number here in prim and proper little Adelaide. Ethel very quickly receives an anonymous tip about the murder, and she is seconded into the detective branch, much to her delight, because it's all dealing with elite Adelaide, which is right where Ethel loves to be. So she leaves poor Miss Cox grappling with some awful sort of investigations of her own. And so off we go on this gripping new adventure, Murder on North Terrace.
Like, that's really well
How was
done.
that?
That was brilliant. Have you done this before?
Good,
Well,
good.
it was one of those things where it's just like salacious. I remember as soon as I saw it, and it was like, and everyone was aghast. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to have a quick look to see what that was. And I'm just like, times have changed.
I
Times have
know,
changed.
I know, but can you imagine back then, this painting, William Orpen's Sowing New Seed,
Yeah,
it attracted 200,000 South Australians in 9 months, which was half the state's population.
that's
And
incredible.
and apparently most of them were young men because it was sort of like porn in the art gallery. Because for people watching at home, it features a nude woman and not just sort
Mm,
of your Grecian sort of, lovely filtered
yeah.
nudity. For the time in the early 20th century, she was absolutely human in her nudity, down to the golden pubic hairs. So, little Adelaide sort of didn't know what to think. And then they wrote letters to the editor, as Adelaideans still do today.
That's-
Yeah, I know. Bless us, bless us.
And we're often focusing on our questions. I love it when we start the question with a question, which is questioning about the question. What is the most often asked question that you get?
Oh, okay. Well, the first question, and so which is probably the most asked, is
Yeah,
um, what was the real Kate Cox like? Who was she? How did I come to? That's all three.
yeah.
How did I come to write about her? So, the real Kate Cox, she was born in South Australia in a little country town, Moonta, in 1875. She was 40 when she was handpicked to become
Ah,
South Australia's first policewoman. She was given almost complete autonomy because the state government didn't even know what they were going to really do with her.
yeah.
And she chose to have one sidekick, and she chose that they wouldn't wear uniforms, that they would have a separate branch away from the men's metropolitan station. And yeah, she proved to be this completely enigmatic, aloof, but also incredibly empathetic, Methodist teetotaler who loved to shop. She loved a tight perm. She was just this household name. Everyone would call Miss Cox at the first sign of trouble with their frisky daughters. She basically policed immorality in the early years and tried to prevent harm against women and children. So she was just this amazing household name, a completely pioneering, groundbreaking chick who carried a 5 foot cane, Jack,
I
and
was I was going to ask about the distance.
yeah, and yelled 3 feet apart if you were caught canoodling in the parklands or on the beaches. And then she'd whack you with the 5 foot cane so that you didn't get pregnant out of wedlock, basically. That was her form of birth control. And it probably worked, I've got to say.
It seems fairly effective.
Yeah.
So we actually would tend to judge with modern eyes and thoughts about
Yes.
something like that. I mean, she was still a woman of her time, though.
She was very much a woman of her time. In many
Mm,
respects, she was actually quite ahead of her time in some of
yeah,
her views that she expressed later in life. But when it came to morals and morality, but more importantly, trying to prevent girls from getting into the worst possible
yeah,
situation in the early 20th century, which was to be pregnant outside of wedlock,
mhm,
completely stigmatized and shamed, not just by society but by families. That was She believed that that was her job. Um, but yeah, she was yeah, just this incredibly different woman. And so my PhD actually explored how to do justice to her
yeah,
in a work of fiction and a very accessible murder mystery,
hmm,
um, still do justice to her as a significant figure in history. So dealing with my own 21st century judgment was a big part of that. And
yeah,
that's why I introduce Ethel as a completely fictional character. So Ethel's
hmm,
filthy rich. She's she's sexually exploitative, very discreetly, of course. She has a male partner, a sexual relationship with him. She is given the entitlements of extreme wealth. So in Murder on North Terrace, she's got her own flat on North Terrace, and but it's through Ethel that we Ethel loves Miss Cox and completely respects her and has been working with her for a couple of years now in the book. But she has very opposing views on things like birth control and consensual sex between
hmm,
adults. So we get to learn of Miss Cox's more extreme views of her time through
yeah,
someone like Ethel who adores her. So it's not weighed down with sort of any kind of 21st century judgment. We just
yeah.
hear the views and we move on. And that's one of the reasons I chose Ethel as her sort of detective counterpoint. And yeah,
Why it flows
yin and
so
yang.
beautifully. It's so
Yeah.
easy to read. You don't get bogged down. Um,
Yeah, it's really the primary reason for writing both books is to
yeah,
tell history, is to share history. And it's actually history by stealth. So it's murder mystery with history. You sort of
yeah,
don't know that you're learning. You don't know that you're learning history. You just think you're on a rollicking murder mystery ride.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and Ethel's part of that. She's part of the stealth.
Awesome. Love
Yeah.
a good stealth. Love a good stealth
Yeah.
lady. So, what
Yeah.
is the hardest part that you find about writing? Like the process of writing?
Bloody all of it, Jack. Jeez. Um, oh Lord, I'm very much still on my training wheels with
Yeah,
all of it. And across, like on the other side of my office, I'm staring at a huge wall of post-it notes because
yeah,
I've got 5 weeks left before I submit to my publisher book 3 in the murder mystery series. So I'm at the real pointy end. But
it's exciting.
I find particularly writing crime.
Yeah,
Um, the murder mystery narrative arc itself, I mean, that's hard enough. But when you've got a detective duo, you want their character arcs to also grow.
hmm,
So I find that weaving that in and having the plot points as well as the timely emotional revelations and movement and advancement, I find weaving that together together is probably the hardest bit.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. What's your
yeah.
top writing tip?
Oh, get it on the page. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm certainly not the first person to say that. But you can fix, I tell myself this every morning, Lainey, you can fix a blank page of words. No, 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 I don't. I don't say that. I say the exact opposite. You can't fix a blank page of words. Get some words down and make them better tomorrow.
Yep.
That's my number one writing tip. And sorry, I'm going to keep going, Jack.
No, 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 go,
Um,
go, 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 go. This
you're
is what it's all
you're
about.
the only you're the only person who reads draft one. So
Yes,
don't stress about it. No one else need ever read it.
that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Are you tempted to put too many facts in the books?
Yes, and in fact, when I sent The Death of Dora Black after having my PhD supervisors look at
Yep.
it, my husband Max is a brilliant editor. He looked at it. I sent it off to my agent, thinking this is perfect. Not my agent, a prospective agent who's now
Yep.
my agent, Melanie Ostell from good old Melbourne. Um, she just wrote back and said, "Get rid of the facts. Oh, there's so much exposition. Oh, it's just death by narration."
Oh,
And basically come back in 6 months. She liked it enough to say, come back.
yeah, yeah.
Hallelujah. But yeah, I'd have, maybe a page and a half giving the reader the history of the morgue
Hmm.
to show that it was old and decrepit and not worthy of the people of Adelaide.
Yep.
And by the end, you basically hear that the morgue, there were blowflies in it and the skylight was rusting. And
Hmm.
that's all you need to know that it's old.
Yeah,
You
that would
don't
work.
need a page and a half of the date that it opened and how many people have been through it and what, materials it was constructed with. You
Yeah.
don't need all that. So I think I love the quote by Hemingway, and he sort of had this iceberg theory
Hmm.
where if the writer like researches enough that they know all the facets of a story, he need only, or she need only, um, reveal the tiniest tip of the iceberg. And if it's written well enough, the reader will get the sense of everything below the surface.
Yeah.
So I constantly tell myself that,
Well,
just,
just
I need,
even
you
even
need
with
to,
even with the
sorry, you
blowflies
go.
and the rusty skylight, you've got an
Exactly.
instant
Exactly.
image.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And you need to know all the facts and then you need to forget them all when you're writing and just write what the reader needs, what you really want the reader to know. Yeah.
It's like that's going to be hard. That's
I
got to be
know.
really hard.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. Because after 35 years of journalism where you had to stick with all the facts,
Yeah.
um, and this is just a completely different muscle, a writing muscle, and I'm fascinated by the process and the application. And yeah, I think it's an absolute privilege to get here and just sit in my dressing gown every day and just write. It's
Which one's
I'm so lucky.
which one's easier?
Oh, journalism, writing facts, without a doubt. A quick, easy. I mean, you've got to. The hardest part about journalism, when I look back on, when I was state political reporter, for example, at the Herald Sun, the hardest part was getting your contacts and getting the right people on the phone so that you had your quotes and all of that. But then when it just came to sitting down before deadline and bashing out a story,
Yeah.
actually really quite easy because it was just, intro, quote, segue, quote, segue, quote. Whereas you've really got to apply yourself to what is my protagonist thinking? What do I want them to think and feel and see and touch and smell right now? And I love the process of that, but it's hard.
Whereas it's like where I'm just thinking, oh, you get to make everything up. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, which is great too. Great too. And I mean, that's fascinating as well. I love, yeah, I won't go. You probably ask me other questions, so I'll stop now.
It's
I've
like
said
you get
enough on that.
okay, next question.
Yeah.
Who are your writing inspirations?
Oh, okay. So, look, just about every crime writer in Australia is amazing. Um, I, but when I was starting out with cozy crime,
Yep.
and deciding ultimately as part of my PhD that I was going to write a murder mystery. The inspirations for these books were Alexander McCall Smith and the Number One Ladies Detective Agency, because of the way he has Madame Ramotsway solving an overarching murder mystery, but in between she's doing lovely little kindnesses
Yeah.
and sprinkling fairy dust and all of that. And that's the kind of person I think in real life that Miss Cox was as well. She liked to solve problems for people.
Hmm.
Um, and and of course, you know, the queen of this sort of genre, although there's no sex here, thanks, we're Adelaidean, was you know, the Phryne Fisher murder mysteries, Kerry
Kerry
Greenwood.
Greenwood. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So very much she was top of mind when I was starting that first draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss Cox is yeah, slightly less sexy, but you know, she's more authentic because she was just, you know, she walked around with a 5 foot cane. She made
Yes. No
abusive husbands.
firearms.
Yeah, no. She made abusive husbands um kneel on the floor and recite the Lord's Prayer to repent. She would hold her hands to the nearest church for divine inspiration in solving a case. Like
Wow.
she was so wonderfully just
Mm.
audacious and weird, and yeah, she's perfect. And it's true, you know, so it's she's a great character to write, really great.
What is your writing routine?
Okay, so I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometime, well, I'm getting a bit slack. Sometime between 5 and 6,
Yeah.
and I sit down at my desk. Well, no, I get myself a big bucket of coffee, and I sit down at my desk and I write as much as I can in and around, particularly at the moment because Murder on North Terrace has just come out. So between author talks and other things, I'll write, and then sometime in the afternoon I'll walk the dog and clear my head, and then I come back to my desk until till 6,
Hmm.
and then um, I cook dinner, and that's my day. And I mean, how lucky am I? And sometime, usually around 12, in case someone comes to the door, you know, with a package, I'll get out of my dressing gown and get dressed.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I mean, I the only day I ever stayed in my pajamas was a day not only did the postman call twice, but I had visitors. So
Oh no, yeah.
as a result, I get up, I get dressed. That's my first thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but sometimes I just get so, and I've usually got something at some stage of the day. So I sort
Yeah.
of think to myself, I'll get out of my dressing gown then, because the Adelaide Hills can get cold, Jack, in my defense.
Ah,
You know,
no, that's a
so
great defense. That's a great
I'm
defense.
saving on heating, saving on heating.
It's just like, okay, so we're coming close to time, but what's the best reaction that you've had to your writing?
Oh, oh, look, people love Ethel
Yes.
in the from the Death of Dora Black. That's beautiful. But probably the best reaction I've had is members of Kate Cox's family contacting me and saying how much they love the story,
Oh,
and can I
yeah.
have a coffee? And they want to chat, and they love that someone has brought this woman back into the light, because she
Yeah.
really was a household name. She won an MBE. She was awarded 5 honourable mentions for her policing work, but she really has, you know, like so many women, sort of been lost to history. So
Yeah.
the family has just been wonderful, and they've been so supportive and lovely, and that's so yeah, that is really great. That's probably the best.
And
Yeah.
now that we're almost out of time, the final question, how would you get away with murder?
Oh, I think I'd do the old switcheroo. I'd find someone that I didn't know, and I'd do something for them and get them to do the murder for me. You know, like
Yeah, yeah. The
yeah,
Agatha
I
Christie.
do that. The switcheroo murder. I think that's
Switcheroo.
perfect. The old
That's
switcheroo.
lady, thank you so much
Yeah.
for joining us for Murder Monday. I'd love the the mysteries that they're just gorgeous. They've got the heat of Adelaide, and they've got the history, which has me Googling and all sorts of other things and going down rabbit holes. But Murder on
Yeah.
the North Terrace, it's out now. It's a great gift, everyone, for under the tree, just saying. Murder
It's
Monday
a perfect
interview.
gift idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Murder, Murder Monday interviews are available on Sisters in Crime's YouTube channel at 6 p.m. once a month on a Monday. I'm joined by Lainie Anderson. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jack. It's been adorable. And yeah, you'll be the switcheroo, okay? If you get a call, I need
Okay,
you.
I'm
Yeah.
on.